This should be a good one. And, I mean, the lower bracket's already going on. Immortals is going to be facing off of NRG right now. But this one is the upper bracket finals. Winner already gets some cash, has the game advantage in the grand finals already. So a lot on the line here, which is why we'll be playing a best of 5. So Rogue has been 2-0ing people in the best of 3s. Now a couple more chances for Denial to show up here. But this was Rogue's pick early on. They chose Dorado. Obviously, it's a map that they've had great success on, but I think it's not too bad for Denial. I think Dorado's been one of their better maps as well.
No, I think any comp or any map rather that you can run their comp on is just great for them. I don't think that their playstyle has really changed throughout the entire tournament. They've more or less been on the same heroes the entire time. Maybe XQC goes back to Reinhardt every now and then, and you'll see Silk Thread swap off the Tracer or Genji, but they've been pretty consistent, at least, with what they want to run, and I do think that it'll clash pretty well with what Rogue is doing. I don't know how much Rogue has played against the Mercy either. I mean, even yesterday, they kind of struggled a little bit against the Nihil and Volskaya, so definitely something to look out for.
Well, you take a look at the defense coming out here from Rogue, and it should come as no surprise to anyone who's watched Rogue play Dorado for any length of time, or really how Rogue runs most maps here, where they're going to be running another very hyper-aggressive dive defense. Perhaps the one wrinkle is that Rogue has been mixing in more diva play as of late, where Nico isn't always on the Genji. But other than that, this is a composition that gives them a lot of meatiness in diving into a team, a lot of space for AKM, and a lot of room for Soon to do what he does best in the back.
Yeah, I think you have to run the Diva against this Denial composition because you need to be able to shut down some rockets. Maybe not all of them, but some. There has to be some pressure taken off of your healers, and it allows AKM to have free reign. Soon gets the first pick on the Silk Thread, who is uncharacteristically on the Genji of all things.
And for Soon, he's very comfortable as jumping off that rooftop and putting a full clip into someone early on. It doesn't matter if it's a Pharah, a Genji, a Mercy, whatever it may be. So Soon with that early pickoff, now again, going to the back, and Rogue playing this really well. They're engaging, backing up, and making sure AKM has plenty of space. Now, as I say that, AKM's suddenly under pressure. The dive catches up to him. Silk Thread gets his man. But Rogue is there to punish the two people that went in deep on AKM. Early res from Ginger Pop, though, turns the tide. Pizza takes down Soon. Now a 6v5 for Denial. So it's this resurrection power of Ginger Pop that's been giving Denial more fights than you might otherwise think as Pizza goes to town here in the stairs.
It's maybe one of the ways that you can battle back against Rogue because, as you mentioned, they're so good at these skirmishes and these odd numbers, but if you can just start bringing 6 at them for 2 fights in a row, even a team like Rogue has trouble making sure that they go 12 kills to 0. So you're definitely going to get an advantage somewhere in there if you can just hit these reses, and that was a clutch res. A little surprising that Rogue kind of forgot that Ginger Pop is a big part of this mix and just didn't put any pressure on him throughout that first push.
I think one thing, and I'm not even sure if Denial is doing it purposely here, that really helps him is that because they're not really going in as a clump, when they get reses off, people aren't in one easy-to-contain area where one Earth Shatter or one Graviton, if that was being played, could actually contain them. So the resurrections for Denial have been pretty good, but it's been in part because of how they play. Pizza on the top. Barrage takes down 2. Unco even gets caught into that. And now an opportunity perhaps for Denial. The Transcendence comes out from Rogue, though, to try and delay and buy some time.
Yeah, Wynn's just jumping on that cart with the Transcend again, similar to what he did last time on this map, just standing in front of it with Transcend, using the invulnerability. They are going to bowl in a self-destruct, but it finds nothing in there. Now Nico finds himself very out of position as the tanks for Rogue try to bring this back to the team. They have retaken high ground, so despite that skirmish opening up really well with the barrage, they've gotten nothing out of it, and AKM going to shut it down, attack visor out.
Well, the key there for AKM is that he got Ginger Pop as well. Ginger Pop had the res up. Maybe could have undone the damage that was done there, but if AKM can just focus down Ginger Pop, use attack visor in situations where he knows that he can immediately take out the Mercy, I think it'll be a winning formula for Rogue, because you take a look at the last matchup we saw with Denial, I think a key part there is that Ginger Pop just got away with murder by resurrecting people, however that works thematically in your mind.
I think it's going to be nice for them if they can get a couple kills and res off, because the big problem is they keep letting Rogue reset. Rogue has all 6 up here on the high ground, have been very good at not getting it, but as these things break down, they will start sending people towards the low ground. So if you can just make sure the fight happens down there, Silk comes into the blade.
And now, Silk Thread off the blade picks up 2. We'd think we'd be seeing a big resurrection there, but it's not needed when you get that degree of pushing power. However, here's what Rogue does really well here, where Rogue clearly lost the opening to this fight, and yet you take a look at how Nox is sticking around. He's able to delay. He's about to have a Primal Rage up, and now will he go back in? He's considering it. That's the case here where Rogue is now almost back. So now what you're going to see is Nox is going to dive in, soon gets a pickoff, Primal Rage is popped, and Rogue is ready to contest this. They force out the early resurrection though, and we'll see if Denial can bring this back.
Resonant Sound Barrier is going to allow Silk Thread to get right onto AKM and take him out as the second half of this fight comes in. They're going to nano boost Nox, trying to get in there and get some stall out. And despite how well some of these fights have gone, the stall out from Rogue has just been so impressive. That one might be able to seal it off.
Fireworks from Nico, taking down 3 and putting a real damper on what could have been a better fight here from Denial. Silk Thread's still up and around, but unfortunately for him, his team died in quite the fireworks show coming out from Nico.
Well, 2 minutes remain here, and still no one has capped second point on this Rogue defense here, as they will just continue stalling out. And there's been so many good openings for Denial coming in, but it's been the closing of the fights that's been the problem. They keep 2 alive, and those 2 are generally just booping around the cart, soon always going to make you work for every inch of push on this map. And now they're reset up top again. Soon's the only one on the low ground. It's going to be interesting to see if Wins tries to get up top. It seems like they're holding a much further back position because this right angle is now open.
Well, again, AKM is someone you have to get on early in a fight, and he just pops the early tag visor, says, look, I can take out Pizza immediately. Pizza is going to go down, and unfortunately for Denial, they don't have a resurrection up to reset this fight, and there's no chance Ginger Pop gets it back up. So, very clean fight here from Rogue, and honestly, Denial sort of fed that to them. Pizza dove out directly in AKM's field of vision and basically had a flashing neon tactical visor me sign on his chest.
I wonder if that was an intentional bait just so that Ginger Pop doesn't die in the next fight, because Ginger Pop will have Resurrection next fight, and one of the great ways to shut down a Flying Mercy, of course, is that tactical visor. It's one of the few ults that you will just solo ult on a combo and take what you will out of it. They're going to come in this right side yet again. Pop has to be careful. He's going to hide behind the building. Good use of architecture here.
Silk Thread diving in. Dragonblade taking down 2 before falling. Soon, though, still an X Factor in the back. Immediately evens it up with 2 of his own. The res from Ginger Pop. Gonna reset this for Denial. It's been their bread and butter. The part where you see someone turn into fireworks, courtesy of a pulse bomb, soon picks up 3, and XQC can't believe what he's just done.
Yeah, the leap into the air to take down the Mercy and Soon. Using the opposing team against themselves.
XQC was a double agent all along.
Well, at least he took it with some levity there. 8 seconds left as this final push will come in. So far, no one's been able to crack Rogue's second point through Auto D. The Barrage is going to take out AKM, though. That's a nice start.
Early kill here from Pizza. It's a good start indeed. 2 unanswered kills, and you look at Denial Hex, they're very healthy here. No one is really poked down. XQC was a little bit low, but gets out immediately. You can't have a cleaner engage than what they have now. But Soon, still, always and forever, an X Factor, and actually in the middle of nowhere right now. This is quite a long flank that Soon is on. Well, it's an adventure, and sometimes adventures have explosive ends. Soon, man on a mission, looking, creeping, diving in from the back. Throws out the pulse bomb, gets nothing. This adventure perhaps a little bit failed. Soon, though, still not even a factor as he takes a rocket to the face.
Well, Soon was waiting there because they had Nico on the cart, so he just wanted to stall out again. They just do not want to give you any push for free, and now the rest of Rogue will re-engage her. The pulse bomb comes down, will demech Nico. A tactical visor coming out from AKM, but the bubble gets dropped, and that fish tank going to keep a lot of Denial alive. We've seen it. Second point. It is not a myth.
Flame is celebrating, saying let's party, maybe talking to his dog and just saying they finally did it. I don't know what. Who knows? Maybe we'll talk with Flame after the round. But for Denial, they do get through. They're going to have a resurrection up for this next fight. And speaking of adventures, Ginger Pop camping out some ground here underneath.
Delivery on the way.
Yeah, well, this push has been unstopped. Now the question is, can Rogue defend Dorado last? They haven't had to in so long. XQC goes down after an ambitious jump, and Wynn's going to be able to take him down. Dante and Silk Thread will follow this push all but over. There's the res, though.
The res comes in. That was where Ginger Pop was being Secret Agent Mercy. Gets the resurrection up, but Rogue is still here for some of the immediate punish. Pizza drops the barrage, doesn't get anything from it. ACAM still in a great position to finish us out. Ginger Pop in trouble. ACAM gets spooked back. Buys a little bit of extra life there, but just doesn't seem like it's going to be enough as Rogue is clamping down on Denial's attack here.
Ginger Pop will go down eventually. It's getting to the point against Denial that you have to start sending people to these familiar Mercy spots. And a lot of teams haven't seen Mercy super in the meta, so they forget the little hiding spots that she has where she's staring at a wall and res is 5. It happens all over the map, and you have to start sending Tracers and Genjis after her because it's happened far too often for Denial that the entire team gets wiped. They're like, yeah, boys, let's celebrate. Oh, yeah, we forgot Mercy.
Well, speaking of celebration, there's an explosion going off into Hoon's face. Rogue on the verge of holding this off here on last. 3 unanswered kills here as ACAM goes in over the top of the attack visor, and this should be it for Rogue. Last desperation, Dragon Blade comes out, but immediately shut down by ACAM and Nox. So, Rogue in the end, still a suffocating defense, and yet Denial did finally break Rogue to the point of at least getting into last point.
Switching sides.
Play
That prediction, though. No, I mean, I think that they could have done it a lot faster, too, is the crazy thing. If Nico didn't hit that 3-man self-destruct, I mean, Denial was in a great spot at that point to take the map, or at least that portion of the map. I think the NA teams are going to start learning, though. I'm pretty sure that this Mercy hero is just becoming very, very strong with this new Lucio. I think that there's a lot of merit to the composition. I'm just even trying to think of counters. There's not even a lot of teams in NA, to be honest with you, that can run this comp that Denial came out with the Tracer Genji Pharah. It requires a lot of finesse, I think, and just using it so well, it's great.
You say finesse, I would also just say personnel. You take a look at your average team. Not every team has a shutdown player in the characters you just described, because you think about how Tracer and Pharah just on their own actually work out as your dog scuttles back into the room, where Tracer is very good if played at a really high skill level. If you're just a little bit below, the actual results you get are not as good. The same goes for Pharah. So the fact that Denial right now does have a very good Pharah and Pizza and a very good Tracer in Silk Thread is not something most teams can run to the degree that Denial is running right now.
Well, we even saw Dante go on that Genji. I mean, or the Tracer at the end and Silk Thread to the Genji. It's just a lot of swapping.
Well, Dante now on a Sombra, of all things, and there's some of the new teams that we've seen in this tournament, thanks to our qualifier day, have really busted out some interesting comps. We've seen more Sombra in this tournament than I've seen in the last 2 months, and I gotta just imagine it's for pack control and then the EMP to go off, but this is... I can't remember a time I've seen Sombra on first point Dorado defense.
Well, certainly this is something that Denial wants to experiment more, a little bit more. We also saw East Wind experimenting to some degree with Sombra defenses, and Pizza takes down ACAM immediately. Rogue's generally very aggressive offense here, getting matched in ferocity by an equally aggressive Denial defense. And whether the Sombra is a good idea or not, we'll have to find out. I do think that the Sombra could give some degree of containment to Soon, though.
It is possible as Dante takes down Soon right as you say that. One of the issues I have with Sombra on first here is there's not a whole lot of packs that your team is going to be able to eat up and give you that support you need, but she also can be a high ground hero, as you see using Translocator with some of the new cooldowns that she's got, that able to be on the rooftops and be annoying. The hack does not go down, and Ginger and Pizza down. That usually spells the end of Denial's either offense or defense in this case.
Denial's in a rough shape here. They will potentially have the ability of pulling this back, though. The reason is that even though it's hard to come back in the courtyard from the direction they're in, they're going to have an EMP to sort of throw Rogue into a bad shape. So I would say a lot depends on how Dante plays this. Takes down Soon in large part, but now Rogue piling back in. There will be no EMP threat, and with Nico and ACAM unchecked, this is looking like it should be a quick Rogue take of the courtyard.
3% away. I mean, one of the reasons you see Sombra on the maps you see her on is maps that your team can exploit the packs and exploit the charge rate. And Dante will have EMP now, but that was largely due to just trying to get damage done and puts himself in a much more vulnerable position. When we first saw Sombra played, she would just always blink out of any sort of danger at all, waiting for that EMP because that's where the value is. But Dante going to stick on it. He's sprinting around the backlines with this EMP, but Rogue doesn't necessarily group up like other teams.
No, but Dante is still going to have to look for an EMP engage, but he's so far out of it that Dahun is already out of the fight before he gets here. XQC making disruption in the back, the EMP comes down. Hits perhaps 2 people, not really as effective as you might think, but still able to find a way of taking down Nox, so it is working out here for Denial. I don't know if it justifies a Sombra pick, how it is right now, but I will note that just hacking health packs does make life a little bit harder for Soon.
Yeah, Pizza solo ults that Lucio, you know. Death to that Lucio in particular, I guess. Gingerpop still holding on to this resurrection, and they're still sticking on the Sombra. It's at least something that the other team has to worry about, if nothing else. Kind of in the same vein as Widow, it changes how you play regardless of how you're doing on it. Soon able takes down XQC early, though, and that's a lot of the meat that they have going. A beautiful mid-air onto a discorded Pizza, but the res comes in, redoes it.
Gingerpop, the hero for Denial once more, resets the fight. Still potential out for Denial as they use that Beta 1 combo of Res and the Sound Barrier, but they don't pick up any kills after the Sound Barrier. Soon is there into the back, picking up 2, and Res, Sound Barrier, no. Rogue is able to withstand, lay down the damage to win that fight, and now Rogue with quite a bit of momentum and a lot of time left as well, Hex.
Well, Dante is going to have his second EMP of the night, which, again, I think is just the big issue I have with the Sombra right now as a hero, is you want to be exploiting her fast charge rate, and I'm not sure this is the map necessarily to do it on, not the value they want, and goes down with holding alt again.
Nico, Dragon Blade out, taking down Ginger, looking for more, gets more with the second slice. It's Soon and Nico wreaking havoc onto the backline of Denial, and again, it's just the momentum coming out for Rogue here that Denial has had so much trouble actually dealing with. The yellow box victory, now in sight for Rogue. They are 1 fight away, Hex, from taking this first map.
Is EMP even worth holding on to this long at this point? Is it worth even coming back as Sombra? It would be the second EMP of the game from Sombra, which I'm telling you is just not enough value out of this hero to get it done. Dante's still looking for an angle. He's their last best hope in this fight, at least.
Well, he is, but they lose to Hoon early on. This is now already a 65. EMP comes in over the top. Does find a way of dunking on the Unco, but gives his life for it. It's really not that effective overall. Gingerpop still a long way away from resurrection. The rest of Denial having to throw themselves on the payload here because they no longer have a margin for error. 1 meter 74 away here as Nico and Nox clear out the payload, and that last bit of delay not going to be enough. The yellow box victory is reached, and Rogue finishes out yet another Dorado map.
I mean, maybe it's to dunk on Unco, right? Which is just fun to say, so that's why I wanted to say it. But it does make Zenyatta down to 50 HP, so he's very able to kill off, and we've talked about how good Unco can be on this map, but the hacks didn't come in, just the individual hacks there, not even the EMPs. And they get 2 EMPs for as long as they're on Sombra, just unacceptable.
Flame, are you ignoring your dog?
Yeah, I'm not sold on it on the first point. I mean, even with their composition, I understand why you would go Sombra or like what the thought process was. But in the grand scheme of things, not having the Diva made it so Gingerpop's reses came out also a lot less frequently because they just didn't have the heals. So you're essentially running 3 healers, kind of with you have Lucio, you have Mercy, and then you have Sombra with the health packs. And it just kind of inefficiently uses the heroes. I think if you want to do that, they should have stuck with the Diva and maybe put Dahun, if he can play it, onto the Sombra, because I did like what the idea was. It was more or less just let's shut down Umko's Zenyatta, and we'll EMP him, we'll hack him, we'll kill him, because it is a pretty good target for the Sombra, but it didn't really work out for them, obviously.
Now, let me just ask you this on the Sombra part, and this is, for me, it feels like one of the upper parts of it, but I'm still not really sure it's an ideal composition, even if it works out the way that you want. In terms of Sombra play, can it be viable to hurt the effectiveness of a player like Soon, but if it is it even worth taking that trade-off?
I'm not sure how much of it is to shut down Soon. I think that you could run it. I think it could have been really good. I think that the Pharah play was very convincing from Pizza. It's just a good composition, I think, against what Rogue was running with the Pharah. And that's why it had so much success on offense, which is why I'm kind of surprised that they didn't try to run it more on defense. One of the biggest differences between the two teams on the map was that you could tell that Rogue was just way better at stalling the cart. Like 4 people on their team would die, but Nox was always there with the Primal Rage to delay. And I think that there was just a lot of efficiency issues when you look at the way Denial played it. I mean, I think the Sombra could have been good, but not so much against Soon. I think they just wanted to shut down Unco, but obviously that did not work.
Well, next map will be King's Row. Any predictions what goes on here? This is, of course, Denial's map choice as we go loser's choice from here on out. And their composition hasn't changed a whole lot. Oddly enough, King's Row is a pretty good map for Sombra. But I don't know if you can even justify going back to Sombra at this point.
I think the Sombra play was not good enough on Dorado to really justify it. I mean, maybe they've had more success on other maps. Who can say? But I don't think they've really made a case for it. We will see in any case. Also, Rogue has proudly proclaimed that in this patch, they always want defense. I have no idea why the doorbell is ringing. I have very little control over this.
The pizzas have arrived.
No pizzas were ordered. That's the scary thing.
It's XQC at your door for catching the Winston play on camera. He's upset.
I guess